Everything I talk about in my videos is my opinion only, so sit back, relax, grab yourself a cuppa or a drink of your choice and enjoy. Howdy ho there guys, it's me, Lucie Spills. How's everyone doing on this freezing June? I know, completely ridiculous in June, but this is what we get in the UK, isn't it? So, I'm here to talk about how Meggy Poos drove me from being a part of the Republic Party to being now a Royalist. So being a Republic, I purely was part of the party just because I thought they were a drain on the taxpayer. That was the extent of my knowledge of the royal family. I just thought they were a drain on the taxpayer and that was it. I didn't really know any of the names or anything like that apart from, you know, the ones everyone knows really that we've grown up with. And yeah, so I knew nothing. And I'd heard whispers that Harry had a girlfriend, and I'd seen very contrived pictures of her outside the front entrance of Kensington Palace when there's many private entrances. So how did the paps know that this unknown American actress was going to be there, you know? So because there's only whispers at the time that he even had a girlfriend. So then this statement was put out that I had never heard of, a statement being put out about a girlfriend, because he had Chelsea Davy and Cressida Boner. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing her surname wrong, but he had then both them girlfriends that were absolutely hounded by the press and the paps. We all saw it, we've all seen the footage, and there was no statement put out about that. They didn't manipulate anyone. So I thought that was so strange. So I was like, okay. So I watched the engagement interview, and then when what I saw right through, which I think a lot of at least Brits did, was her saying, I didn't really know anything about the royal family and what it's all about. Really? Is what I was thinking. You know nothing about the British royal family. Absolute BS. So that was red flag number one for me for her on that. When I actually saw her, because I'd never seen her before. I was expecting someone really famous. When I'd heard he was dating an actress, I expected someone really famous, but no, never seen her before, nor had I heard of Suits. So when I saw her, that was basically my first introduction to her. And apart from her saying, you know, she didn't know anything about the royal family, or much about the royal family, and saying, the other thing, red flag number two, was there's no tabloid culture in the States. That is an absolute lie. As I said before, I lived there for a year. There is tabloid culture, very much so. Not as bad as here, but there very much is. So again, that was red flag number two. So I wanted to do some research then, because I was like, this is, why is this happening? Why is there a statement coming out about this woman when she's just a girlfriend? Why is she getting all these privileges that no other girlfriend has ever had in my lifetime that I knew of with the royal family? Yeah, so why were they doing one about this, about her? I just didn't understand. I also wanted to learn then about the royal family because of the red flags I'd seen about her, and I was wondering why she was getting all these special privileges that no other girlfriend had ever had. So I did a bit of research, found out they take 15% of the taxpayer, which is, a friend pointed out to me, which is like less than a third of a cup of coffee. I thought it was way more than that. Not only have I learned that they're patrons of over 3,000 charities, fact check me if it's more than that, because I think it probably is, but they also started their own charities too. Princess Royal Trust Charity, which is for carers, which is Princess Anne. And on that note, Princess Anne, wow. I knew absolutely nothing about that woman because she's amazing. Wow. I knew nothing about her because she doesn't take a camera crew everywhere with her. She shines a light on so many charities, refuses to, like, and 75 years old is she? refuses to let anyone carry her bags. She's a feminist. She's someone for young girls to look up to, not Maggie Poos. And also the royals go all over the world and here in the UK, shining a light on charities, meeting and greeting people in poverty. They do so much stuff that I just didn't know about, because they don't have a big camera crew with them all the time. They do it because they want to shine a light on the causes. They don't make it about themselves, they make it about the causes. And that is what I learned to love so much about them. And this was before all the shenanigans I know now about Maggie Poos. I was gaining more and more respect because I was educating myself, as people need to do in these situations. So now I really enjoy the royals, and I enjoy watching like the Jubilees. I enjoy watching Trooping of the Colours, and I love that we have a culture over here now. I love it. I never thought we had a culture, and that's it. We see it on a world stage, and the whole world pretty much tunes in to see the pomp and pageantry that only us Brits can do, and I absolutely love that. And the tourism it brings in too. I mean, people say it doesn't equate to we can have that argument back and forth all day long, that it doesn't equate to the money spent on them. Well, if you think about lockdown, how much was a comfort the royal family was, to me at least. There was such a comfort. And when the late Queen made that speech that we will meet again, that she made during I really, the comfort I felt from that, it was so warm, and I really felt it. And I don't know if anyone else did, but I really did. So yeah, I'd heard whispers since educating myself about the royals that Maggie Poos was not that nice of a person behind closed doors. She was doing all this girlfriend shy girl act. We all saw the pictures, didn't we? All shy, and all this. I'd heard in the media that her father wasn't coming to the wedding, and I wanted to know why. So I'd heard in the media it was because he wasn't going to come because he was in hospital after having 2 stents in his heart after a heart attack. So I was like, okay, fair enough, he can't make it. So the future king at the time was going to walk down the aisle, well, partially, because she's a feminist, isn't she? So he walks her partially down the aisle. She's got that look in her face the whole time, walking down the aisle. It's just so smug. I mean, it's so smug. And then, yeah, so the nauseating wedding happened. And I actually thought she knew all these guests. Because, again, I didn't know much about her, who she knew or whatnot. I thought she knew all these guests. No, she didn't. She only, I think she barely knew any of them. She didn't know the Clooneys. It's just pathetic. The only one she knew there was her mother. This is after doing a bit of research, and so I found out the only one she knew was her mother, and I found that so strange, and I thought, what is this woman hiding? So I wanted to do a little bit more digging, didn't I? And I did, and I found out that she was on very good terms before meeting Has with both the Raglands and the Markles. And if you look on the TIG, her dad is highly, highly celebrated. So you only need to, and I don't know if it's still, I've not looked for a bit, but he's highly celebrated on that. I mean, I think she thinks the internet doesn't exist or something. She must do. So anyway, I digress once again. So yeah, so they were waiting on their invites because her dad's brother organised her to have an internship when she wanted to be in politics at the time, doing international studies, tongue-tied, international studies at Northwestern at the time. I think she wanted to go into politics or something, so she could do all the word salady speeches there. So yeah, they were waiting for their invites, but she kept maintaining they were on the way. They never arrived, not at all. Also, her dad's never arrived, and she actually used "it's got lost in the mail." She actually said that to him. I mean, the royal family sending invites out and he's expected to believe that. Oh, okay. So yeah, they're waiting on their invites and they're just not showing up without any kind of explanation, sorry, I can't pronounce stuff, from Meggie Poos at all. And they were just waiting for it. And I just think that's so cool. And she knew what she was doing because she set them pap strolls up. We all know she set them up. She got Jeff Rayner to do that. I don't need to go into it all because I've explained it in a previous video. She got Jeff Rayner to do them pap strolls so she could do the Dear Daddy letter, didn't she? She wanted all that. Everyone, victim, feel sorry for me. That's all she wanted. And she wanted people to, because not only did they not fit her image, she didn't want them to out her because Nikki Pretty, who had been a friend since, 3? She was excluded also. Someone else who I didn't know that was in her life all the way through, she was also excluded because she would have outed her as well. Because when she was in Fiji and she made that speech, this was after the marriage, and she made the speech of, I had to climb into my car, I had to pay for my own petrol, I had to pay my, they say gas, sorry, so it sounds wrong, done it in an American accent, petrol, gas, I had to pay for my own gas, I had to pay all my own rent, I lived on Sizzlers, all this BS that she was coming out with. No, her dad paid for everything. So yeah, she didn't want her to be outed at all, did she, by anyone? And again, I don't think they fit her image, did they? Any of them? That's the kind of person. That's what narcissists do. I know I'm not qualified to call her that, but it's just so obvious, isn't it? It's so obvious. So yeah, the wedding. After researching about that, I'd learned that she excluded all of Haz's dearest friends that he'd had from Eton and the army, excluded them from the afterdo, but let them to the ceremony. What? Isn't it normally the other way around? What's that about? She needs to make that make sense for me, because to me, it seemed like she was snipping at all of his nearest and dearest friends that he'd had for years and years and years, excluding them from the afterdo and inviting a load of people that she hardly knew. The Clooneys were there and she didn't know them from Adam. So what's that about? She really needs to make that make sense for me. She really does. The next thing is the 2.4 million, was it? Renovation on Frogmore that us taxpayers paid, that they lived in for 9 months. Now they maintain that they paid it back into, what is it, the Royal Grant or something, but they maintain they paid that back. I'm not sure. I think they paid a partial sum, and of course King Charles is not going to come out and say anything, because on some level he is still protecting his son because it is his son. But we can't blame King Charles for evicting them from Frogmore because they're never there. They're never there. And when Haz did recently come over for something to do with Invictus, he stayed in a hotel. Oh, well, you weren't bothered about security then, were you, Haz? So, yeah. Now this I couldn't stand. The pseudo-feminist herself announcing her pregnancy at Princess Eugenie's wedding, all because she was petty over the tiara. We all know about Tiara Gate. I don't need to go into all that. All because she was petty about the tiara. She was, barely, probably got as much bloat as I've got on me right now, which is nothing there. She wore a really big maternity coat that was really far too big for her, and announced at someone's wedding that she was pregnant. Who does that? No, that is like an unwritten rule. You do not do that. You don't steal the bride's limelight at their wedding. That is horrible. And so that was where I was learning how horrible this woman was. And then I was hearing about her bullying staff because they were just leaving in spades. And funnily enough, many of them were women. She seemed to be bullying a lot of women, and to tears it would seem, as did confirming why, they were all crying and stuff. So, all the bullying that she does with these women, and this is why she doesn't call out her fan base, because they're bullies just like she is, the cult leader. So when she was a girlfriend, she was invited by the late Queen to Balmoral for Christmas, which of course she attended. And then once she was married, decided she didn't want to do that. She wanted to drag Harry over to Canada for 6 weeks. Now, we all knew something was brewing, didn't we? I knew they were going to come back to say they were going to be... I thought they said they were just going to leave. I actually did think they were going to leave for privacy. I actually believed that. I was that gullible. So when they said they were going to leave, I was like, okay, fair enough. But I didn't know at that time all the stuff they were asking for, like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. They wanted to monetize away the titles and put them on stuff like pens. I've said all this before, I know, but I just think it's so funny and it's so juvenile. You want to leave the royal family where she could be. She was so celebrated when she came to the UK, as he would confirm on Netflix. She was so celebrated. So, yeah, her declining to go once she was married was just such an FU to the late Queen. Just horrible. Oh, and I forgot to mention at the wedding the bullying of Charlotte. Because I'll go into the Oprah interview now. Because she tried to reverse the story of who made who cry. Because it was in the media that Meggie Poos made Princess Catherine cry over, no one really knew what at the time. But she said, Meggie Poos said on the Oprah interview that Princess Catherine made her cry over, I forget. I try and drown that interview out as much as I can. But she said it was the reverse. No, it wasn't at all. What happened was, it was Princess Catherine, it's protocol for royal women to wear tights, and Princess Catherine wanted Charlotte to wear tights with, she had shoes on and stuff like that, and she wanted her to wear tights. And that's what it was over. And Meggie Poo said something horrible to her, like, oh, you've got baby brain, or something awful like that. And Princess Catherine got really upset about it, and graciously again tried to take her flowers, which Meggie Poo's shut the door in her face. And I totally believe that happened. Who am I going to believe? Meggie Poo's the outed liar, or Princess Catherine? I wonder. I know Princess Catherine hasn't said, because we know what their motto is, but the fact that they've said nothing at all just speaks volumes, doesn't it, Another thing I love about the royal family is the support for the armed forces, as the royal family plays an important role in recognising and supporting the work of their armed services. And I think that's just amazing. I mean, I know Prince William, he's a helicopter pilot, and I know that Has was in the army and things like that, and they heavily influenced in them. But what made me see how heavily influenced with the armed forces they are is when Meggie Poos and Has decided to miss a military event in order to go to the Lion King red carpet premiere. Has, you should be ashamed of yourself. You turned your back on the military to embarrassingly grift for your wife to have voice work.
Yes.
I mean, you could see Beyonce's face was kind of like, ugh. And Bob Iger was kind of like, Oh, really? Yeah, okay. We'll give her this elephant thing that was extremely boring, and she's not had anything since. So, yeah, hated that. Absolutely hated that because he's never done that before. And that's the other thing I'll say. I remember the old Harry. I don't know if the royal family were protecting him and he's always been this way and he's always been this petulant, but from my knowledge is he was always close to his brother, very close to her. He grew close to Camilla, and he called Princess Catherine the sister he'd never had. Well, that's all changed. Why? And why now has he got no friends? Only Nacho, because he's allowed to be friends with Nacho, because Meggie Poo's is friends with his wife. So these are all the things that drove me to be a complete royalist, and how much I love our royal family, and how much, and at the minute with Parliament and none of us knowing who to vote for or anything like that, and it's just a breath of fresh air that we can all unite and just have the royal family there just to unite us all together, because we're all arguing about different things when it comes to Parliament. So yeah, I would have the royal family any day over Parliament. So when they shamelessly left, and we had Megxit that we all know about, that's no revelation, when they shamelessly left and she was embarrassingly dropped by archetypes, I always have to add that, don't I? And they will be, believe me, they will be dropped by Netflix after these snooze fests come out soon. They will be dropped. I cannot see them being well received at all. Because their last one was viewed highly because people were really wanting to hear what they had to say. Everyone is so bored of it now, and the content that they're thinking of coming out with is just, oh my word. Now, I couldn't get through this video without mentioning the creepy Omid Scobie, who's still maintaining, one, that he's a royal commentator. No, you branded yourself that. Two, that he's never met them before. That is absolute nonsense. Yes, you have. Otherwise, that very contrived Princess Catherine and King Charles wouldn't have been named in the Dutch version of Endgame, would it? Because we all know how jealous Meggie Poo's is over Princess Catherine, don't we? We all know her name was going to be put in there. Of course it was. Of course it was. So yeah, in my opinion, he's always known them. He probably even knew Meggie Poo's beforehand. He was even maintaining he was a royal commentator when they were over here. I mean, I'd never seen or heard of this creep before at all. Now, I'm reading Lady C's book, and I don't want to give spoilers away. So I'm going to write where to jump to if you don't want any spoilers right now. But in Lady C's book, she's extensively interviewed the Markles. And Thomas Markle Jr., his invitation one, like I said, never arrived. And on Netflix, when Meggie Poo's was saying, oh, he called me Meghan and that's why I never spoke to him. And there was that whole text exchange that they had when he'd had his second heart attack. Well, phone records, it would seem, she didn't get in touch with him once during that second heart attack. Not once before the wedding. So, yeah. What do you guys think about that? Because I think it is bloody awful. So yeah, I wanted to know more about this Meggie Poo's, didn't I? I was invested then, wanted to know a bit more about why has it changed so much and stuff like that. So I read Revenge, I read Courtiers, and I'm in the middle of Lady C's book. And none of them have been sued, have they? Which is very telling. So, as I've said before, no lawsuit, there's truth to it. And they're very litigation happy. So I'm reading them. I read about her relentless social climbing, which again, no revelation to anyone. Her relentless social climbing, the way she just discards people when she don't need them anymore, no matter how close they are, doesn't matter how ill they are or anything. She don't care. She'll just drop them, as she will has. I totally believe that. And I believe something's in the air at the minute. Because what I will recommend is I rewatched the Netflix vomit-inducing, cringeworthy, highly offensive reality TV show, And it's a really good window, actually, to see how she does control Has. It's a really good window because it is all about perfecting her image. And I'll tell you something that did not happen is when she said that on the flight home, when they were coming back, when they were going to Canada, yeah, we all knew they were going to end up in LA. We all knew that. But when they were going on the way to Canada, apparently, I think it was a air host or something, knelt down next to her like this and said, "Thank you for everything you did for our country." Thanking her for what? What had she done? What is he thanking her for? What exactly did she do for our country? Crap all over it. Brand us all racist. That's what she did. She branded our royal family racist, and she branded the whole country racist. She said, Brexit was all because of her. I mean, she just wants to make everything about her. It's so hilarious, but it's so insulting at the same time, you know? But yeah, it's a really good window because the other thing in how she plays in his paranoia, because in that ridiculous car scene, that would have been the perfect opportunity for us to see how Meghan Markle is harassed, as she says she is on a daily basis, with these pap strolls that she does mainly in car parks. Okay, car park pap strolls. How did the paps know you were there? Anyway, I'm digressing again. So yeah, and also that ridiculous car scene, that would have been the perfect opportunity for us to see how harassed Meghan Markle is on a daily basis. No, we saw none of that. Just her spouting words to Has. That's all we saw. Oh, the son in a scooter over there. That none of us saw. But Harry, to me, the first time I did think he was acting, he looked completely paranoid. And it's a good window to see how she controls him through his mother and through his paranoia with paps and stuff like that. Because she also says, oh, just to let you know, there was some paps in the basement over there. I mean, why is she telling him this if he's not seeing it? Why does she need to tell him that? No one saw anything. No one was there, Meghan Markle. Nobody. Okay? And lastly, how she's made Invictus the Meghan Markle show. Mike Tyndall, please take over. Please. Now, Harry used to be so invested in this and it was so refreshing. Now it's all about Meghan Markle. And walking in front of injured British troops was the most insulting thing I have ever seen in my life. After she trashed Britain so much, and then her on her own, Has not with her, walking in front of them. Oh my, I mean, that was just so insulting. Anyway, that's it for me, guys. I hope you enjoyed my opinions on all this and what drove me to become a royalist now. I love our royal family now, and I wish I knew more about them beforehand so I could have enjoyed them more growing up, you know. But I do now, and much love.